Everybody had that one. The answer is 30. Everybody had that one. The answer is 36. Everybody had that. The answer is 44. Pick a number from 1 to 5. Winning number is 4. Homework check. 6 are here and 6 have homework, so that's 100%. Here come the answers. 1 is D. 2 is C. 3 is D. 4 is C. 5 is B. 6 is D. 7 is A. 8 is D. 9 is B. 10 is C. Today's objective: seeing structure and expressions. We're going to interpret the structure of an expression. So interpret expressions that represent a quantity in terms of its context. In other words, you're going to be given an algebraic expression and you have to write it in words, or you're given words and you have to write the algebraic expression. Here's example 1. The difference of 5 and a number. If we don't know what a number is, what should we use to represent it? X. So we'll use X. The difference of 5 and a number. What should I write to represent the difference of 5 and a number? What operation is difference? Subtraction, yeah. So it's going to have to be subtraction. There's a subtraction sign. What do I put first? 5 and then minus what? That's right. The difference of 5 and a number is 5 minus X. And whatever comes first is what's written first in the difference problem. Now I've got a bunch of these lined up, and they're not intended for you to write them all down word for word. If you watch it and go through and take part in it, then you'll probably do better than you would have had you tried to write all of them down as we go. The difference of a number and 5, what should I put? Yeah. X minus 5 is right. A number is going to be X, and then 5, and it's a difference. Always start with the first one, then minus the second one. The sum of a number and 4, what should that be, Bartley? X plus 4 is right. The sum of a number and 4 is X plus 4. The sum of 4 and a number, Darnell.
4 plus X.
4 plus X, right. Whatever comes first is what you put. The product of 6 and a number, Bartley. 6 times X, and you just write it as 6X. You don't have to put a time sign or a dot or anything in the middle. 7 more than a number. 7 more than a number. Darnell.
7 plus X.
You can do 7 plus X, or you could do what? What's another way to write it? Just reverse them around, X plus 7. And for the future, we can set the stipulation that if you have 7 more than something, you're going to put the 7 more on the back end. That will help you out more later on. This is still right, but let's keep it this way. If it's 7 more than or anything more than something, that more than and the number goes on the back. 3 less than a number, what's that going to be? Bartley. X minus 3, right. So you remember back to the last one, we had something more than a number and we wrote it at the back end. This is why we're doing that, because when you do 3 less than something, you've got to subtract it, and it's going to have to go to the back end. The quotient of A and 4, Bartley. X divided by 4 is right. And you can write it as x over 4 or x divided by 4. Mostly in algebra it's going to be x over 4. Quotient means division, and you're going to put the first thing on top and the second thing on bottom. Must go in that order. The quotient of 4 and a number should be what? Yeah.
4 divided by x.
4 divided by x, right. Because the 4 came first this time, and then a number x came second, so it goes on the bottom. The third power of a number. Third power of a number. Bartley.
X cubed?
Yes, x to the third power, that's right. The third power of a number is x to the third power. A number raised to the fourth power. Darnell.
X to the 4th power?
That's right. A number raised to something power means you're going to put that power on x or whatever else it's on. The square root of a number. The square root of a number. Bartley?
X times X. Is that how
That's close. The square root of a number should be this. Square root of x. The third root of a number, what should that be? The third root should be written like this. Anytime you have a third root, a fourth root, a fifth root, you write a radical sign, or more commonly called a square root sign, and you put that number of the root right there on the ledge of that sign. That means that there's something times itself 3 times that would get us back to that. Example 2. Now here's where you're starting to combine some of them together. 3 times the quantity of the difference of of a number and 6. Now instead of trying to race through it all at once, pick something out of here and tell me what it represents. Where could we start at? What does this mean? What would I write to represent a quantity? There's 2 symbols, yeah.
multiplication?
Close. It's close. There will be multiplication in there. It's 2 symbols. They start with P.
Parentheses?
Yes, parentheses. So we start with quantity means you're going to have parentheses in there. Now, what am I doing to that quantity? Yeah, 3 times the quantity. So you'd put a 3 outside of that. What goes inside the parentheses? Yeah. Yeah, x minus 6. The quantity of the difference of a number and 6 means x minus 6. So that's what that means. 3 times the quantity, x minus 6. Same thing as 3 times the quantity of the difference of a number and 6. The quantity squared of 6 less than a number. Now what does this mean again? Yeah.
You make the parentheses and then put the you put the square number on the outside of the parentheses,
Right.
and then you would
Yeah.
subtract
Subtract, right.
6 or x. It would be 6 minus x.
6 less then a number means that's going to have to be on the right side. So if it's 6 less, you'd put x minus 6. But this is right. Yeah, the quantity squared means you'll have parentheses, then the little 2 up to the outside right. But whenever you have 6 less, just like I said when we had 6 more than something, put it on the right side, because this is why. Because when you have 6 less, you got to put it on the right too, so you don't get confused.
So no matter what it goes on.
The quantity cubed of 5 more than the product of 3 and a number. Where can we start, Bartley? That's right, that's the quantity cubed, so we've taken care of this. Now what? 5 more than means the plus 5 goes where? Left or right? Where's it go? It goes on the right, that's right. 5 more than is going to be plus 5 on the right. 5 more than what? Yeah. That's right. 3 times x. So the quantity cubed of 5 more than the product of 3 and a number is simply the quantity of 3x plus 5, close the quantity, and then cube it. Alright, here's a practice. You give this a try and bring it up. 4 more than the product of 7 and a number. Everybody had this one right. You could put 7x plus 4, or if you had 4 plus 7x, then that would be right as well. So everybody had it. But in the future, remember, if it's 4 more of something or 4 less than something, put it on the right with that sign. For this problem, you have 11 less than the quantity squared. If I have 11 less than the entire quantity squared, then I would have a quantity squared, and the square symbol goes on the right side. Can't put it on the left. If I have 11 less than the quantity squared, that minus 11 must go on the outside. And then the quantity squared of 2 more than a number means x plus 2. So you should have the quantity squared of x plus 2, close the quantity, and the minus 11 is on the outside because it's 11 less than the entire quantity squared. Here's another practice. We want to write out the expression for 7 more than the quantity cubed of the product of 8 and a number. 7 more than is going to be plus 7 on the right. And it's 7 more than the quantity cubed. So there's a quantity cubed, and here's 7 more than that quantity cubed. The quantity cubed of the product means times of 8 and a number. So it's simply 8x on the inside. Mid-class quiz. Just write down the letter of the right answer capitalized. The answer for this one should be D. The answer for this one is A. Alright, if I'm going to add 10 to something and end up with 5, notice that what you're adding is more than what your answer is. If that's the case, that means that what you started with here must be negative. So that eliminates these choices. Now, would I add 10 to a negative 15 to get a positive 5? That would put me at a negative 5. So what I'm doing is I'm starting at negative 5. Or you can look at it like this. X plus 10 equals 5. To get x by itself, you move the plus 10 to the right and make it minus 10. Answer would be negative 5. Example 3. Now you have to go from an expression and you have to write it out, what you think it would be. X minus 3. How would I say x minus 3 like we've been doing? Yeah.
3 less than x?
That's right. It would be 3 less than x. What about 4x plus 2? How would I say that? Bartley?
2 more than the product of x and 4.
2 more than the product of x and 4. That's right. Or you could say of a number and 4. What about this one? How would I say that? Salyers.
It'd be 2 more of the quantity squared of a number.
Close. You are close. Bartley.
The quantity squared and of a number
Of a number. If we put and 2, then we don't know what operation we've got going on. Quantity squared of a number, or how about quantity squared of 2 more than a number? That's one way you could do it. You could also say the quantity squared of the sum of a number and 2. So if you'd slipped in sum before you said a number and 2, then that would have been fine as well. Example 4. 2x minus 1. How would I say this one? Salyers.
1 less than 2 of the number.
What's this? What am I doing to these 2 items right here?
You're multiplying.
And what's the answer to a multiplication problem? Starts with a P. Product. 1 less than the product of
2 and a number.
That's right. 1 less than the product of 2 and a number. What about this one? 2 minus 3x. Bartley's going to go for it.
the difference of 2 and 2 of the product and number 3.
Yeah, the difference of 2 and the product of a number and 3. That's right. Now, even though we put of a number first, and that implies x, you always put x second when you're combining it with another number, so it'd be 3x. But he's right, the difference of 2 and the product of a number and 3. What about this one? Darnell's going to go for it.
2 less the quantity squared of 5 less than 1.
He's right. It's a lot to write. 2 less than the quantity squared of 5 less than a number. That's it. Give this a try. Now, normally, one of the ways you can do this would be 2 less than the quantity squared. It's a lot to write out. 2 less than the quantity squared of the difference of a number and 3. So if you're going to put if it's x minus 3, you have to say of a number and 3, because if you put of 3 and a number, then it's 3 minus x. One way you could do this is 2 less than, needed a, there we go, than the what? Yes.
Quotient of 8 and a number.
That's right. Not too many more ways you could write this.